Hello everyone, you're tuned in to the Anything Bucket on WRPBI TV. Tonight in our studio we have an entrepreneur, a community advocate who specializes in giving businesses the essentials they need, from branding to marketing to search engine optimization and website design. She represents Business Consultants of South Florida. Please welcome Miss Allison Turner to the Anything Bucket. Allison, welcome.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's great to be here.
And I'm glad that you are here, and I'm very excited that you're here. Allison and I have known each other for a while, and I have seen her do amazing things for her clients. So if you could tell us a little bit about how you got started with the Business Consultants of South Florida and your background, because you have an amazing backstory from being a top ranked tennis player and a community advocate to now being an entrepreneur.
Absolutely, Jonathan. I think I got started, and as Jonathan mentioned, I was a Division I college tennis player. I went through the ranks there, decided I didn't want to turn pro, left the field for a while, and then actually went back into the field and ended up being the director of junior tennis at a country club here in Boca Raton, as well as teaching some of the sports. So I found that a lot of what I did as the director of junior tennis was think of new programs, try and bring in new business. Even though I had a captive audience to some degree since it was a country club, I was really trying to think outside the box a little bit more and bring in new programs and figure out how to market to a greater percentage of the homes within the country club. And so once I left that, because I started kind of getting bored with that, because there was only so far I felt I could go there, and I went and got my MBA when I was at the country club. And then once I left there, I was really trying to get to that next level. I ended up starting a different type of business, which I know you and I had talked about, and that integrated some of my photography and things like that, and decided that wasn't necessarily the direction I wanted to go, but really felt called to help other entrepreneurs, other small business owners in creating their brand, creating their marketing strategies to be able to take their business to that next level.
And that's where the Business Consultants of South Florida, came in, where you took all your skills, you've been there and done it, so you had success, you had challenges, because all small businesses do. Absolutely. And a lot of times we're so married to the small business, we're in it, we're there, that we don't see the outside opportunities, or as we say a lot of times, the forest for the trees. So if you can tell us a little bit about the Business Consultants of South Florida and what you provide, and maybe give some tips for people to see the forest for the trees.
Absolutely, Jonathan. I think the biggest thing that I always share with clients is you really have to be intentional on working on your business, because so often entrepreneurs and small business owners work so much in their business, and that's one of the greatest challenges. And if you are the solopreneur in the one-person shop, then that's the biggest challenge, because you're doing everything. You're doing the marketing for your company, you're doing the social media for your company. A lot of times you're doing everything for your company, including the services or the products that you are creating. And that's the greatest challenge, is how do you get outside of that and see the bigger picture and figure out, okay, I want to go here in the next year, and how do I get to here? And that's the biggest piece, is really trying to be intentional of creating strategies and creating tactical steps of that are going to basically step you up towards those goals. So with Business Consultants of South Florida, my company works with those small business owners to create those strategies, to create a marketing plan, a strategic marketing plan to get you to that next level. And it really always starts with your vision and where you want the company to go. So even if we just look at we can look at 3 months, we can look at 6 months. I always encourage people to look at a year and say, okay, where do I want to go at the end of this year? And then try and back out the strategies to get them there. And that way they're broken down into small, manageable pieces, instead of a lot of people get overwhelmed when they say, oh, I want to go here, but I have no clue how to get there.
It's starting with the end in mind, but going back and saying, okay, there's 30 different ways to travel from here to Miami. Which way is best for me?
Right.
Can you give some tips? I know myself, being involved in the broadcasting business and wanting to get more gigs and more voiceover work and more MC work, and of course more guests to appear here on the Anything Bucket. If I came to you and I said, Allison, I want to work with you at Business Consultants of South Florida as my business advisor to help me get to that level, what are some of the tips you might give me?
Well, I would first of all take a look at what you already have existing in place. And so that's the biggest piece is what are you already doing? How do you currently get your clients or your customers, or in your case, the people that are coming to speak on your show, how are you getting those people? What does your brand look like? So do you have a website? Do you have a Facebook page, social media, other social media outlets? Making sure everything looks and feels consistent. Because one of the biggest challenges I often see is that you see a business card looks one way, their website looks a completely different way, and then their social media pages look a completely different way. And so there's no brand consistency. So when you're creating that brand, how do people know who you are if they see you on social media and then all of a sudden they go to your website and it looks completely different? So that's, so I kind of look there first and say, okay, what do you already have in place? How are you marketing? Are you using social media? And then figure out, are you looking at the best ways to get to your target market? And that's really what we look at is how do we get to your target market the most efficiently with the best return on investment?
And you mentioned target audience, and it's funny because I was involved in selling advertising space for a local community newspaper, and I would ask somebody, who is your ideal client? Who's your target audience? And the answer that I would get all the time?
Everyone.
Yep, everyone. And I was amazed by that because not everybody is going to resonate with your message. Not everything you're doing is relevant for everyone, and not everything you do is entertaining for everyone. So it's knowing who you want to attract. And I came up with a theory that you are your client. And I'd like to get your thoughts on that idea of the person that owns the business is actually the person they're looking to do business with.
I think that's an interesting point that you bring up, Jonathan. I had never personally thought of it that way, but I mean, when you look at that, I certainly try and get to know someone or my potential client to see if they resonate with me and vice versa. And obviously, from what you're saying is those types of people, the ones that resonate with me, are probably more than likely going to become my clients. The ones that don't resonate with me just from a personality standpoint are probably not going to be my clients, and there's nothing wrong with that. I may not be the right fit for them at the moment, though.
And it's one of my favorite sayings, and we've used it in business all the time. Some will, some won't, so what, some waiting, next. And if you could expound on that a little bit, because it sounds harsh when we say next, oh, that person doesn't want to use my product, that person doesn't want to be my client, that person has no interest in me, it's time to move to the next group or the next person, with hopefully not burning too many bridges, because you never know, you may need to go back to that person that said no.
Well, and I never see it as someone saying no necessarily. I look at it from the standpoint of really trying to help the person out. So I may meet someone that I see as a good potential client, and maybe they don't see it right away, but I don't ever push my services on them. What I really do is, who can I actually connect them to in the community that will better their business right now? And maybe it's not me right this second. So for example, I met someone the other day at a networking event, sat right next to her. She already has a website, she already has a business card. They're fairly consistent and whatnot, but I actually connected her with a friend of mine who had office space for what she was looking for. I also connected her with someone else. So she's now going to be a speaker at one of my clients' conferences. And now she is coming back to me as a potential client, but I really look at it as, even if they don't say, no right away, it's really how can I help them and be of service to them in that way. And I find whether they become a client or they become a referral source, that always comes back to me tenfold down the road.
And that's a great segue about being of service and value to others. It's one of my favorite things. I subscribe to the belief and answering a question that John Maxwell teaches. How can I add value to someone's life? So with that said, how does your company add that value? Because there's a lot of people out there doing what you do. So how do you set yourself apart from others?
My company really sets apart because we do create the strategies, but I'm also looking at the branding and the website design. And usually you don't see the consulting side and some of the implementation side coming together in most companies. usually on the website design side, you see the company that maybe does the branding, they do advertising, you see the big advertisers that are out there. They do that, and they don't necessarily do the strategies, meaning create a strategic marketing plan to figure out where the company wants to go. So where I feel my company really differentiates itself is because it not only has the ability to create the strategies and work with another business to do that, but also then to look at the branding and the website design. And one of the reasons I got into that piece of it was because I felt some website designers out there don't necessarily have the branding expertise.
And with that, we want to thank you for being here on the Anything Bucket. And if you'll let the viewers know how they can connect with you and take advantage of your expertise.
Absolutely, Jonathan. I always offer people a free half-hour consultation. So if you go to my website, which is www.bcosf or businessconsultantsofsouthflorida.com, you will see the button on the top of the header there, or else feel free to reach out to me via email, which is Allison, Allison @bcosf.com, or by phone at 561-276-4422.
And I would recommend viewers that you definitely get in connection with Allison, connect with her, take advantage of that free 30-minute consultation. It will take you from where you might be feeling a little bit stuck to unstoppable. And we'll be back with a few more guests. In the meantime, find a way to stay positive.